Hi, hey, hello. If you're new here, my name is Rain. If you're not new here, welcome back. I appreciate you stopping on by. So, if you want to draw along with me, we're going to be doing Drawtober prompt 1 today. I believe that it's due, according to the Drawtober calendar, a day from when this video goes up, because I post on Thursdays. But this is prompt 1, Overgrown Cemetery or Overgrown Graveyard. I don't have the prompt in front of me as I'm recording my voiceover, but that's what we'll be doing today. So if you want to draw alongside me, feel free to tag me in whatever you make on the socials. They're listed down below, linked down below. And what I'm doing and what I chose for this prompt was to do an illustration of my OC Thanatos. He has appeared a few times before, mostly in the form of this one particular big illustration I did digitally in Procreate. It's him standing in a walkway in a different overgrown cemetery with some cute little ghosty animals and ghosts chilling around with him. It's one of my favorite illustrations I've ever done. My OC Thanatos is one of my favorite OCs to draw. I very much like my more God-inspired OCs quite a bit, so it's always fun to draw Thanatos, and green is actually probably my least favorite color to work with and in. However, I also really, really like illustrating nature themes and plants and kind of the impressionistic approach that you get to take when you're working on illustrating something that's a bit more nature themed, because I am certainly not drawing every single leaf of every single bush, and I don't think anybody really sits down and thinks that's what they want to do, you know. And I quite enjoy exploring the impressionistic kind of approach that you can take with illustrating and kind of designing little shrubbery and stuff like that. So I had a lot of fun with this, and I was very, very happy with my initial sketch and my initial line art. However, I had the ugly phase of a lifetime with this one, and I did almost give up partway through. I'll be talking about that a little bit more when we get to it within the actual video, but oh boy, I was not into it for a hot minute there, but I am actually really happy I pulled through. I can't wait to talk about that a little bit more, because ugly phases in traditional media is something that I really, really struggle with getting through. I'm a lot better at pushing through the ugly phase when working on digital designs, because I feel like it's a little bit more foreign to me still. I've been working digitally for only a couple years, but I worked traditionally for a lot longer. So I feel like I can tell myself, oh, it's just the medium, I'm not super familiar with it, and call it there. Unfortunately for this piece, I didn't actually like the liner enough to scan it or kind of go through the process of maybe making a coloring sheet out of it, because I did a lot of my line art for the shrubbery in order to imply to myself where I want different colors and to keep it consistent so that I know where my foreground and my background, my middle ground and all of that would be, because it was going to be really reliant, for me at least, on tones and shades of green. I wanted to ensure that I had enough green line art there to actually remember where I intended to place things, but I don't really think that I expected for the line art to show through really well working on it in a green pen and not black, to try and prevent some of the muddying and to kind of just, I don't know, ensure that I didn't kind of go a little too heavy-handed and then make the green not stand out enough. A lot of the time when I'm working traditionally, I kind of rely on my liner as a base for understanding. Then I go over my liner again later to kind of redefine things. Sometimes I do work very heavy in line art. I've been working on the Moth-Bitten Library prompt for a hot minute, and that is very, very line art heavy, very, very line art dependent. So, admittedly, is going to be quite heavy-handed on that one. I'm almost done with my line art at this point, and I'm pretty confident I actually just don't want to color it at all traditionally, and I want to do it digitally because I love the line art so much I don't want to ruin it. But I'm not entirely sure about that yet. I'm going to be finishing that one and the, I believe, devious dining prompts this coming weekend because I need to have them both done for Thursday's video. So I will probably be doing devious dining a little bit before I actually have to have it done for the Drawtober timeline. And that's going to be a little tedious because I have to get it done in time to be able to edit the video, but we'll see. We're living in the beautiful world of me not knowing how to actually do shrubbery with marker before. I've never actually painted greenery and shrubbery and nature life in marker, and it was very much a learning curve that took me a hot minute to figure out. I cut out so much footage of me just not knowing what I was doing and just throwing stuff at the wall until it stuck. And I suppose life lesson for everybody, if you layer it enough, it'll probably look good enough that no one will notice. That's what this has taught me. Because wow, that layering I just layered it until it worked. So I mean, it worked for me. I hope it works for other people. Maybe I'm lucky. Maybe I'm lucky with the color green. But green really is probably the hardest color for me to work in. So a bit of that. And I think for the next several minutes of our lovely little coloring journey and shrubbery, I think it's a good time for a music intermission. So I'll see you back after a little bit of music so we could talk a bit more about the ugly phase that I went through with this one. So this is where the ugly phase really started to get to me. I very much was getting frustrated with all of the greens that I was working in. I was getting frustrated not really knowing how to layer green in quite the way I wanted to make it look good. I was just absolutely bewildered and confused on how to get different tones of green to not look weird. I don't really think that I know what I'm doing traditionally as far as plant life at the moment. I do have a better understanding of it now, but I don't know that I actually even comprehended a lot of what I did, as I just kind of kept working at it and picking away until I felt good about it. So I don't even know if I have advice aside from start light. Yeah, start light is the only advice I can give from what I learned. I think that if I didn't layer a bunch of color pencil later and experiment with non-green colors to try and get some of my shadows in, I don't think it would have turned out as good as it did. But I even then don't really know that I can recommend that for other people, because I have enough of an understanding of color theory that I can kind of fiddle it in a way where it will probably work out even if it doesn't look as good. And I don't know if I can recommend other people be like, just add a bit of purple to it, it'll be fine. Because that is something I did later. I think it's not something I recorded, but I do at one point just overlay half of this in purple and a light wash of purple. And it definitely did work. But I don't know if that was luck or something else. But I am super not used to not having my phone when I'm actually like working on an illustration at this point. I know I've been doing this YouTube thing since mid-June, I think. But I'm still super dependent on my phone for my references. And I'm still taking a really long time to adapt to using my computer for my references so that I can record what I'm doing. I'm not hating it, I just am taking a really long time to get used to it. So the computer that I didn't crop out and accidentally forgot to keep out of frame, that has my reference on it, and I have a playlist about morally gray kind of music, mostly from musicals. Are they morally gray or do they need therapy? That's the playlist, and it's been very fun for the spooky-ish theme. It's got a lot of more of the Victorian Gothic musicals in it, Jekyll and Hyde, a little bit of Phantom of the Opera, a touch of Dracula. It's been very much fun for getting into the feeling of Drawtober, as well as the fact that I just listen to this music year-round, even when it's not October, but you know, that's kind of, that's not something to worry about too much, maybe. But yeah, this ugly phase was really killing me. I just didn't know what to do. So I got to a point where I was kind of just doing everything except for the greenery to try and make myself feel a little bit more okay about what I was working in and working on. I went through and I did a lot of the tombstones. I think I worked on the trees a little bit more. But I just spent a lot of time working on everything except for the color green and trying to add a bit more depth to the items in the environment to try and help me feel a little bit like I was progressing through the illustration, even though the predominant part of the illustration, which is the dirt path and the greenery, were either not done or nowhere near complete. Adding these little details and just kind of taking it little bites at a time was really helping me and my psyche get through the absolute tedium that was me feeling frustrated and like I don't know what I'm doing. A lot of the time when I'm drawing and illustrating and I don't know what I'm doing, I have an inclination as to what I need to do to make it look good, or I have an idea of what I can do to fix it if it went wrong. But with this greenery and these particular shrubs and creating a sense of depth, I was having a really hard time actually coming up with a plan or a strategy for if everything went horribly wrong, what I could do to try and fix the issue or fix the errors that might come up. So that was getting kind of stressful at a point. I very much didn't know what I was doing, and I was kind of stressed working on this with school at the time as well. October 4th, I'm not entirely sure exactly what day Thursday is of this week, because I'm doing this on the 2nd, I think. So I wasn't entirely sure. October 4th, I have exams and stuff. Yeah, I was recording this on the 2nd, so I had exams coming up for one of my classes. 7 more units of school had just started up. 2 of my courses that are late start science classes were starting, and I was just very stressed. I found out one of my courses has 5 exams and then a final, and some of those exams are like back to back. Not between the 2 science classes. I mean, one of them has exam 1 week and then exam 2 the actual next week. So I don't know, it's just been kind of stressful to like get that information and not know the teacher and not know if they're going to be like big exams or if they're just kind of more like little quizzes or anything like that. So working on this, I was kind of stressed. I very much was not in the headspace to be challenging myself with something that I'm very unfamiliar with in general, which is marker art and greenery. I do a lot of marker art, but I'm so multimedia and so dependent on layering that I'm not actually particularly proficient in just marker art. And I usually do it in bite-sized enough pieces that I don't have to really think about creating a large span of depth. So I don't know, I'm pretty used to being able to finish a little bit and then go in with color pencil and then do a little bit more. And having it broken up a touch more in terms of actual subject matter, but a lot of this is forest because it's an overgrown cemetery, so it very much was an exploration and a challenge for me. I was luckily enough aware enough about the kind of just fluffy, chunky shapes that come from shrubbery, and I was doing a pretty good job later in just kind of breaking down my reference into like chunks of green shape. And that's when it started coming together and feeling a little bit better. But that's not going to come in for quite a minute, so we'll see. I think we're probably getting close to another music intermission. I think this is 33 minutes of footage, and yeah, every like 7-8 minutes of talking, a little bit of music to get into the vibe. I'm doing my voiceover before I actually pick the music. I'm really hoping I'll be able to find some free to use spooky themed music for all of my Drawtober stuff, but we will see. I'm really hopeful though, so fingers crossed. And I'm not going to edit this finger cross out of the video if I don't find spooky themed copyright free music. So just know that I'm sad if the music is not spooky. So Alrighty, healthy chunk of progress later. I kind of clipped out a big chunk of me just trying to make stuff work the way I wanted it to and getting things to look the way I wanted it to. I got out some gouache and I really just went in with different shades of green, mixing different shades of green, oranges and yellows to try and add some life to not just the actual shrubbery and the space and giving a sense of actual overgrown effect to it, but also trying to get the brown earth to feel, I suppose, the best way to put it would be like untouched. Obviously, if a like brown dirty path is not really receiving quite as much traffic from animals or humans, it's going to have a lot of leaves, it's going to have a bit of greenery to it, some flowers and stuff, but I did want to keep it kind of brown. I did want to imply that Thanatos does come here often enough, maybe this being kind of a safe space or a place he likes to come to think. So it's walked on enough that it hasn't become completely overgrown with grass and shrubbery and stuff like that, but it's not walked on often enough that it'll be completely cleared and completely cleaned. So that was something I wanted. And then also just, I wanted there to be flowers in the shrubbery. I didn't want them to be particularly, like, obviously flowers, just kind of to imply different colors, some oranges and yellows. I wanted to go in and create a greater sense of depth, even once I had those. So I'm currently going in with darker shades of green, some green paint pens, and just kind of deepening the shadows. Obviously, well, maybe not obviously, if you look at examples of heavy shadow and like depth within things like shrubs or space and stuff like that, and kind of different environments, you'll notice that there's a lot less visible detail in the shadows. And so, well, I spent a fair bit of time detailing everything because it was easier to just detail it as I went and then add in that sense of depth later. I did want to erase some of the actual detail to make the shadows seem more realistic, to make it feel like, well, clearly we can't really see what's in there. It must be really deep in the sense of space and stuff like that. So I went through and I added a bit more depth to it, and that was very much helping. Then I was having a bit of a struggle point with the actual trees. I was having a hard time, one, making them look like trees, because the trees in the reference did not really look quite the way I wanted them to look as trees, but I also, it had the sense of space that I wanted it to have. So going in with different paint colors and stuff, trying to create a bit more shape to them, adding some purple here and there, pink, to just add a little bit more, I suppose, spice to the flowers, to try and imply that, I don't know, there's just something more than green and yellow, because it is so green heavy. I wanted to add some stuff that's a bit more fun, a bit more playful colors. I wanted it to have stuff to actually look out for when going through the process of taking in the piece and really thinking and just letting your eye fall over it, finding little colors that are a bit different than the general mass of colors that are more visible was fun. But I also added a fair bit of purple in color pencil to Thanatos' clothes to kind of make the depth feel a little bit more real. He's being hit by the sun for light, so having that kind of purpley shadow was going to match, but also some purple under his legs and stuff to have the shadow he's actually casting be kind of accurate to the lighting source. That was also something that I wanted to ensure was happening effectively. So there is quite a bit of actual purple from the light source being created, and I did want to tie it into elements that aren't quite obvious and quite there, you know, just a little bit of purple flowers here and there. Something to like look out for, but you can completely miss and it won't matter. It was more so a fun thing for me to do rather than actually creating something notable for the piece itself. And so I have a really long-winded clip where my mic was not working. So another music break because I have to reiterate everything I said the first time, and it's going to take a good minute. So I will see you very, very soon for the final piece. I do quite a lot of work off camera, and I can't wait for you guys to see it. So I'll see you after the music intermission. I can't wait. Future voiceover rain before the clip that I recorded that I just said was going to play. I forgot to mention a couple of things. One, I also edited down the long-winded clip by 7 minutes because I didn't want this video to be super, super long, and I forgot that I did that. So that was cool. Then, secondly, I forgot to introduce my cat Smudge. He makes an appearance. He does come and rub up, so that's Smudge when you see him. And then thirdly, I did record it outside, and it's super sunny and super bright, so I will be putting up some photos post that will be showing it in more natural but evenly spread out lighting, and I will show the two different like states that I have it, like nice and backlit, because it looks really, really pretty in my opinion. And then I will also have it not backlit. So I would really appreciate it if you let me know which version you prefer, because I'm actually thinking of, well, I'm going to put them up on Redbubble as per usual with a lot of my art, but I am wondering if people have a preference on if I should just put up one or both. So there's that. And I think that was it. I don't think there's any more future voiceover rain that you will be hearing, just this brief little bit. So sorry about that. And now on to the proper clip you were supposed to be listening to. Already reiterating all of the audio that ended up dying in the voice. This is where I originally thought I was going to be leaving Thanatos. I put him up in a Discord, though. A Discord that I'm in for Drawtober, the Drawtober Discord. It is absolutely wonderful. I really talk a lot in there. So if you want to find and hang out with a wonderful community of super fun people who just love art and are really supportive of each other, I highly recommend it. I will remember to put the link down below. I'll try to do that for all of my Drawtober videos so that people can join the community and find and experience the super comprehensive space that the hosters have created for all of us Drawtober people and participants and people who just really love art to hang out, because it's really, really fun over there. It's been a complete blast. And also, I put a lot of my pieces up in the critique channel to be critiqued and asking questions and getting a lot of peer support. And there's so many wonderful people, and it's really nice to get fresh eyes on your work. So it's totally wonderful over there. So that'll be linked down below. But I put this piece up in the Drawtober Discord to get a little bit of opinions on it and opinions on what was missing, because I knew something was missing, but I didn't know what it was. And here we are in the sun outside, and I have added a load of depth to the trees. I've washed over the the left side of the piece in a purple shadow to get rid of some of that sense of depth. I've added a load of white little daisies to it. I've added a lot more purple to make the shadows being cast a lot more interesting and dynamic. And I ran a lot of green over the actual sky to create a bit more of a sense of depth, and this piece feels really nice to touch. I'm gonna be honest, like, the way the paint is sticking up feels super nice to, like, run your fingers over. I really, really like it. So, absolutely been loving this piece. I added a lot more fun colors here and there, and really just deepening the sense of shadows, creating a bit more texture going in, and I just really added a lot more spice to a lot of different things, deepening shadows, just creating a greater sense of depth in the piece. I got a lot of wonderful critique. Then additionally, I on the back side put some sticky note over some spaces, because I've gotten really fond of like holding it up to the light and seeing the way the light reflects through. I don't have any pictures of it, but I will be posting some on my Ko-fi, free, of course, as per always, and also I'll try and make a community post. But overall, I'm super, super happy with where this piece ended up, and I'm so excited to share the rest of my Drawtober work with you all. So if you want to stick around and see that, be sure to subscribe. Like if you like, dislike if you dislike. If you have any thoughts, opinions, comments, things I could have done better on the piece, let me know down in the comments below. I really appreciate it. And I suppose follow me on my socials if you want more regular updates, some more goofy cat photos in my story and all of that. Otherwise, I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day, night, wherever you are. And I look forward to celebrating the rest of Drawtober and October with you all. So that's it for Thanatos. Bye!